All right, peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Politically Street, where we are politically street at all times. This is not a political endorsing podcast. We are here just for information purposes only, and to pretty much give out a positive energy and spotlight those in the community doing astounding things. So, with that being said, I have my next guest, none other than Demetrius Walker or DJ Meek for those out there in the club scene in the world. So, Brother Meek, what's going on, man? Talk to me, brother. What you got going on, man?
Man, I'm feeling fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good deal, man. So a little brief history, man. I met Demetrius on Instagram. I saw he had ran for state rep, and I was like, wow, man, that you didn't see too many younger people out there making these moves like that, man. So I reached out to him to try to volunteer on his campaign. We never really kind of got it together, but I still was still watching from afar, man. So first of all, I commend you, man, because it took a lot to get out there and on state rep at that to go. So how was that experience, man? What prompted you to? Well, first of all, excuse me, where'd you grow up? Did you grow up in Houston? Where you from, man?
I actually grew up in New York City.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
yeah, I was born in Brooklyn,
Okay.
lived in Brooklyn until I was about 8. And
Mm-hmm.
then we moved up to the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just got tired of the cold weather being up north. And so I ended up going to college in Nashville, Tennessee, Vanderbilt
Oh wow.
University.
Okay.
And, once I got to the South, I couldn't go back to that cold weather, man.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, did you have did you have both parents in your home or?
Until I was 14, yes, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, my parents were there in the home.
Mm-hmm.
They were working a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was working a lot. Dad, same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I've always been kind of independent as a result.
Mm-hmm.
Just me and my sister growing up. And I have a little brother now, but yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Your dad is a famous DJ.
Yeah, my dad's one of the first DJs.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
I told you, I grew up in New York City. So,
Mm-hmm.
During the 70s, my dad was in the same circles as Cool Herc,
Mm-hmm.
all of these guys that were the founders of hip hop.
Wow.
Before, hip hop was even a word,
Mm-hmm.
these people were throwing parties, out in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And, my dad would tell me about parties he was doing at 12 years old,
Oh wow.
going to Harlem and, they pay a quarter to get in the party
Mm-hmm.
and everything that he learned from that. And then, everything that was going on in the Bronx at that time, the extreme poverty, death, drugs, destruction,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of birthed hip hop because, these kids needed a creative outlet.
Mm-hmm. Check.
And, my dad lived in an abandoned building for a period of time, during that era. And so these are the people who, created the art form. They needed that outlet, that release.
Wow, that's powerful, man. I didn't know that. I mean, I know you had mentioned it before when we was at an event or whatnot. So, but we'll come back to that in a second. So, went to college and then you.
Yeah. So, I went to college. I started out in college as a biomedical engineer.
Oh wow!
And
so you smart.
a little something. Man.
Yeah.
I read this book in 8th grade called Outbreak.
Mm.
And
There's a movie out too called Outbreak.
Became a movie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what we're seeing right now is some of the things that I've been concerned about from when I was 14 years old. So that kind of motivated me to go to college. And my goal was to become a virologist and work with viruses.
Wow.
And so, yeah, we'll get back to that later.
Okay,
I'm
right.
sure. But, ended up at Vanderbilt University. After that first year, my grades weren't great. I struggled in, physics and calculus and chemistry.
Yeah.
I really love science, though. I love biology but just my mind just didn't have that technical aspect that's needed to really excel in those kind of areas. So I ended up switching to economics only because it sounded like I would make a lot of money once I graduated.
Right.
Degree in economics.
Right.
But I didn't really have a plan. Graduated from college. This was during a time where there weren't a whole lot of jobs available. After 9/11, and the country had kind of come to an economic standstill. And so, I ended up taking a job in Nashville locally with Dell Computer,
Okay.
sales job.
Mm-hmm.
And, was working my normal, 40-hour week schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And, then my manager came and whispered in my ear and said, "Hey, you want to keep working here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, duh, why not?"
Right, right.
And she was like, "Well, the bell, which is, I was working in a call center. The bell is basically the server that hands out phone calls to different sales reps.
Gotcha.
The bell opens at 6 a.m. and it closes at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all she said. And she just looked at me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, "Oh," then it clicked, like, "Oh, y'all want me to work overtime." But
Mm-hmm.
she can't tell me that.
Yeah, of course. Right, right, right,
So
right, right.
so I started working bell to bell,
Mm-hmm.
and not only was it open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., but it
Mm-hmm.
was open on the weekends too.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working, 6, 7 days a week,
Wow.
pretty much all day, every day.
Right.
And I started making a lot of money, but I got burnt out really quickly.
I imagine so.
And I really became disenchanted with, a lot of the corporate America's policies. And so it was during this time where a couple of friends of mine that I went to undergrad with, we started talking about starting a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one of my business partners, while we were in undergrad, he made clothes for all of the Greeks in Nashville.
Mm.
And I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha.
I didn't know that, man. You've been holding that from me, man.
Hey, I wasn't trying to keep it a secret.
Okay.
Shout out to all the alphas,
Yeah, you guys had an anniversary.
Yeah.
This month. Yeah. Uh-huh.
December 4th.
Mhm.
December 4th.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so, my frat brother was making, paraphernalia
Mm-hmm.
for pretty much all the Greeks in Nashville. He was really skilled at clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we're chatting, and, he recognized that I had a good marketing mind
Mhm.
and PR mind. And he said, "Man, I'm thinking about starting this clothing line." And he said, I was taking this Black masculinity class
Mm-hmm.
at Vanderbilt on African American history. And the topic of the dangerous Negro came up.
Mm.
And so, the first Black man documented
Mm-hmm.
as a dangerous Negro was A. Philip Randolph back in 1919.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, A. Philip Randolph, he agitated a lot of the white politicians because he was a big advocate for labor unions.
Mm-hmm.
He started the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters.
Okay.
He actually conceived of the concept to host a march on Washington. This is where Dr. King got the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Was he first of all, he advocated for integrating the military. The military was segregated at the time.
Mm-hmm.
White people didn't want to serve with Black people. And
Yeah,
it was
right.
a whole big deal.
Right.
Regardless of whether or not a bullet doesn't really discriminate against color, but
Right, because when they hit you, right?
but white supremacy is not logical.
Right.
So in 1919, President Woodrow Wilson, probably one of our most racist presidents, Woodrow Wilson screened Birth of a Nation at the White House, which was the KKK film. He screened it at the White House.
Mhm.
This was entertainment to him. But Woodrow Wilson called A. Philip Randolph the most dangerous Negro in America.
Gosh, I didn't. Wow.
And this is the first time we heard the term used on record by the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after the March on Washington took place, Dr. King, who had been stalked by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI,
Mm-hmm.
they sent out a field reporter to the March on Washington, a guy by the name of William C. Sullivan,
Mm-hmm.
to write up a negative report on Dr. King so that the government would have justification to harass him and to tap his phones and do whatever they needed to do to disrupt him.
Mm-hmm.
And in that report, William C. Sullivan wrote that Dr. King is the most dangerous Negro in America.
Wow.
Then we go to COINTELPRO, the Black Panther Party, how the FBI, how they describe them,
Mm-hmm.
the most dangerous Negroes in America.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed like every time we had Black leadership
Mm-hmm.
that was able to unite Black folks
Mm-hmm.
and awaken our consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
they were labeled dangerous Negroes, and they were strategically pushed to the fringes of society, if not eliminated altogether.
Right.
And so I said, man, that's dope.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start a clothing line called Dangerous Negro.
Right. Okay.
You know,
I like where this is going, man. Wow. Okay.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been, you know, and I'll try to speed this up for you.
No, you good. You fine. You
Yeah.
good. We got time.
So like I said, I've been getting burnt out at work. Corporate America was doing me wrong. You know, I was putting in all these hours, making them millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and I was still being micromanaged. You know, if I came back, you know, came in the office a few minutes late, or
Yeah.
came back from lunch a few minutes late, you know, it was like I was being reprimanded like I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, with Dangerous Negro, I was able to, you know, use my entrepreneurial mindset to not only awaken the consciousness of Black folks, because
Mm-hmm.
everything that we did had a powerful and impactful message placed right on clothing.
Mm.
So I feel like clothing is a billboard,
I agree. I agree
you know,
100%.
unconscious billboard in many aspects. And so, you know, as that started to gain momentum,
Mm-hmm.
you know, obviously the press reached out to us because the name was just so
Man.
controversial
Right.
that people started contacting us thinking that we were some Black radicals, and you know, and I'm sure we probably came up somewhere in the FBI database just because the term dangerous Negro
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, originates with them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it became popular, and I decided to leave my job
Mm.
at Dell and moved down to Houston in
Mm-hmm.
2007, mainly because I came down here for New Year's. A friend of mine was living here,
Mm-hmm.
invited me for New Year's, and I was like, man, I could wear T-shirts in December.
Mm-hmm. Right. I got it
So
right. You can.
yeah, I could wear
Yeah.
T-shirts in December,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, Beyonce ain't the only fine woman out here, so that helped, you know. And that's how I ended up in Houston.
Gotcha.
But you know, got here, hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
You know, met you know, some of the local celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after I arrived, Mike Jones,
Mm-hmm.
you know, did some wardrobe
Mm-hmm.
and you know, one of his music videos, and I, you know, met uh, the videographers in the hip hop industry that do work down here, and the artists and the DJs, and you know, became cool with them, and
That's what's up, man.
you know, our clothes ended up in stores
Mm-hmm.
out here in Houston. We were in 5 different stores, you know, one in the Galleria. A few of them closed down right after Hurricane Ike, but you know, we're doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Got some national recognition. We were in stores nationwide after a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and then BET reached out to us
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Hey, you know, we want to run a little special on you." And they came down to Houston, filmed a special over at End Zone Fashion in the Third Ward,
Mm-hmm.
and once that hit TV, I mean, you know, sales went up 300%.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Okay, that's marketing. It is what it is. Yeah.
right.
Wow.
And you know, the mission was always Black empowerment. So, and I promise I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna
No,
wrap
no,
this
you
up.
good, man. I'll, you know,
Yeah,
I love these kind of stories because, like I say, you just never know what people go through. You know what I mean, to get
yeah,
to where they are now. So no, you good. Go ahead.
yeah. So, you know, as Dangerous Negro started to take off, it started to evolve,
Mm-hmm.
because our mission from day one was always Black empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was a total of 6 of us,
Mm-hmm.
business partners that had. And so as we became more popular in the hip hop space, one of my business partners that was in Indianapolis ran into a guy in a club named Ron Fest.
Okay.
And
That
so,
name sounds familiar.
yeah, you may know Ron Fest because he is famously known for writing songs with Kanye West.
Okay.
He won a Grammy for writing Jesus Walks
Mm-hmm.
for Kanye West. He's won a couple Grammys actually.
Okay.
Um, and you know, my business partner just happens to run into him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the Dangerous Negro shirt on,
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
and you know, Ron Fest is like, "That's dope. I need that." You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so Gary runs to the car. I got shirts in the car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gives him the shirt. They exchange information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ron Fest needs more shirts, so we start sending him shirts. He's on tour with Kanye, sending him and Kanye shirts.
Mm-hmm.
And as we developed that friendship and relationship
Mm-hmm.
with him, you know, we realized that he was not satisfied with his record deal. You know, obviously, a lot of record deals that you hear about now, you can see how crooked
Yeah.
they can be,
Yeah.
where they don't primarily benefit the artist, they benefit somebody else.
Right. Uh-huh.
And so, you know, as we learned of these things, you know, we were like, man, it'd be dope if we could start our own record label
Mm-hmm.
where we give the artist a fair deal,
Mm-hmm.
give the artist full creative control, and be independent of these record labels.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to get him out of his contract he was with J Records at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and we signed him to Dangerous Negro Entertainment.
Man, who are you, man? Anyway, okay, go ahead, keep going, man. This is just, it's an interesting story, man. Wow.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's how, Dangerous Negro evolved from the t-shirt company
Mm-hmm.
to this entertainment company.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we ended up putting out his second album, El Che.
Mm-hmm.
And you on the cover, you'll see his Dangerous Negro jacket, and you'll see my name listed on the back as an executive producer, along with my partner, Sebastian Ujeri.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and we put out a project with a Grammy Award winning artist
Wow.
independently.
Mm-hmm.
And it went on to do well.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, Inc. magazine and Forbes and Black Enterprise reached out to me and did interviews, and everybody's like, who the hell are these kids? How did y'all do this?
Right.
And you can actually, if you Google how I did it,
Mm-hmm.
Inc. magazine, there's an article that comes up, and kind of tell the story in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But ended up doing a lot of public speaking as a result of that.
Mm-hmm.
Different universities started reaching out to me and saying, hey, can you come talk to our students about entrepreneurship and how you did what you did,
Mm-hmm.
and how you got to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tour pretty much the whole country, coast to coast, speaking at different colleges.
Wow.
About entrepreneurship
Mm-hmm.
and the value of it, specifically for Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
To be independent of corporate America, and always, even while you're in corporate America, using your entrepreneurial mindset to figure out what you can gain from that,
Mm-hmm.
what you can learn,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can apply it to what you're actually really passionate about.
Amen.
And so, did that for a number of years, until I had my son.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't as easy to, just get out and be on the road as much. So, let me see. I'm almost up to current day. Yeah, 'cause my son is 9 now.
Okay.
So now, I own a company called the Black Travel Club.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that, once again, it comes from the root of Black empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up, after public speaking, working in the travel industry for a company here in Houston, in a call center again.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to all the call center workers.
Yeah, man. You gotta have respect for them, man. Hey, man, that's not an easy job, man.
It's not an easy job. It's very frustrating,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get treated well a lot by not only the clients on the phone, but by the staff. Because you're pretty much just seen as expendable and as a number.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I learned while I was there, though, was that there were all these wonderful opportunities for people to go around the world and travel, but do it with an expert that can, not only
trying to navigate through the wherever you go to.
Right.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Because it's easy to just go, book a trip somewhere and just say, oh, I want to go to, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
But you've never been there before. You don't know where the best restaurants are.
Oh man, yeah, it's
Yeah,
it can be just with that variable in itself can deter you from going.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, but go ahead. I'm gonna cut you off. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
But yeah. Well, you miss out on things when you just, just show up. You don't know where the hidden gems in the city are. The stuff that you can't find on the internet. And so, I realized white folks been doing this for a long time. This is they're called escorted tours.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you also have what's considered independent tours, where you have maybe a tour guide for a day or two, and then you kind of do your own thing independently.
Is that kind of like what Ashwell Kwesi does when we take people to Egypt, or say independent? Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that would be an escorted tour.
Gotcha. Okay.
You have a guide. You have your transportation already arranged for you. Your food is already set up. Your hotel. So you pay somebody, let them figure that out, and then you go and enjoy yourself. And it's low stress.
Right.
And I realized that 95% of my clients were white.
Wow.
Black people just were not doing this.
Yeah.
We weren't doing it because we'd never been marketed to in this space. And I thought that was tragic. I got tired after 4 years of working with clientele that I felt were very entitled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want to, call and harass you, and you got to be their brains and do all their thinking for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I want to be able to pick my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I looked at Black folks,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, people like me need to be taking advantage of these opportunities
Mm-hmm.
and being catered to and staying at the nicest hotels and eating good food and exploring different places in the world,
Mm-hmm.
because we could see at home here in America, they don't really care about us that much anyway.
Mike said it best, didn't he?
You got to get outside the bubble.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You have to explore outside the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, I want to give people that look like me the opportunity to go outside the bubble and do it safely,
Mm-hmm.
and also to enjoy luxury when they can,
Mm-hmm.
to learn,
Mm-hmm.
to connect with other Black folks across the Black diaspora
Mm-hmm.
and other places. And so I started the Black Travel Club.
Let me ask you this question. It's funny, but it's not. So when I was in Tanzania, however you want to pronounce it,
Mm-hmm.
everybody looked like me or different shades of brown, right? And so it was like when you saw a person, a Caucasian person, a white person, it was like they were the minority. Like, man, what are they doing here? You know what I mean? So
Right.
Did you get that feel when you were in certain places that that like Africa, Ethiopia, whatever it is?
Yeah, man. And that's one of my favorite places that I've been, was Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful, man. Started out in Arusha and got out to Ngorongoro Crater. I don't know if you got a chance to.
I didn't get that. We went to Kilimanjaro, man. We went to a base. We didn't get a chance to go up because it was, I think it was real cold for some reason, but we didn't go up. But I got to Kilimanjaro, yeah.
Yeah, well, I flew into Kilimanjaro, so I got to see it.
Oh wow!
But I didn't climb it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Africa. Tanzania was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely like to go back. I want to go back to Zanzibar actually this time.
Yeah, we did Zanzibar, man. We did the whole Spice tour, all that, man. It was nice, man. So you have to take a ferry from Tanzania to Zanzibar.
Right.
So going there was fine, but on the way back, we was going against the current. Man. Oh man,
tough.
People had bags everywhere. You know what I mean? I thank goodness I didn't I didn't get sick. But yeah, man. But I love Zanzibar. Zanzibar was nice, man. It really was. Yeah.
Well, that's what's up, man. I'm trying to get out there when I can.
Okay.
But that brings me to where we are present day.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of what we've been focused on as Black folks, in particular, just even on a political tip, right, is we feel that we need our own space carved out somewhere in America where we can be autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the belief, especially now looking at the craziness that we're seeing, that we need to be connecting outside the bubble with Black folks all over the planet.
Wow, that's powerful.
And we need to have power that transcends physical destination. If you look at other powerful ethnic groups around the world, it doesn't matter. They don't have to be concentrated in one place to have economic power
right.
wherever they are.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody here, if you sit down and think about it, think about those people who tend to have power and those ethnicities that do, they're not located in one place.
That's true.
They're globally connected.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's what's vital to me with the Black Travel Club.
Gotcha. Wow, that's powerful. Because I just saw you guys were somewhere last year. I want to say you were in Cali, and I saw a friend of mine was with you. One of my Instagram friends. She has I think named Kay Harris or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I saw her, and then I think I want to say my good friend Miss Love. What's her? I see her face, man. Rashida Joy. I think she was with y'all too, man. I was like, man, it's a small world, man. So yeah.
Well, Rashida, she didn't actually come on the trip, but she's out in LA. She's out in Cali too.
Yeah. Shout out to Rashida, man. Yeah, that's good.
Shout out to Rashida, man. I love everything that she does.
Yeah.
She's really trying to empower folks on the diet tip, man. Which realistically is a huge political issue that we're not discussing. It's probably our most critical political issue that gets swept under the rug because people don't realize the significance of it. And and I can go into that too if you want to. I don't know which direction you want to go with.
And it's actually I'm glad you said that because I have are you familiar with Pop Darby?
Yeah,
I had Pop on here last Wednesday and we talked about soul food vegan and how how that was it was in two different spots before, but now it's in third ward off emancipation. So they tried different areas. And he said he basically have to almost not trick people, but he brings something to them, they eat it, and they say, I like this. What is this? And he say, well, it's vegan. Oh, I knew it tastes different, but anyway, but he was mentioning how how the certain foods we intake, it still affects our minds as well, how we think and things like that. But no, I mean, I know that you're a vegan as well. I'm getting there, man. Just pray for me.
Yeah.
I still eat seafood, but everything else I just kind of take out. But I don't eat seafood all the time. But
Right.
but tell me what was your transition and how's it going for you now?
Well, I've been vegan 3 years now, and I've learned so much just in the past 3 years. I didn't go vegan for any political purposes
Mm-hmm.
or any environmental purposes initially.
Mm-hmm.
It was purely off of compassion. I had an epiphany one evening,
Mm-hmm.
and I was at this young lady's crib that I was seeing at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a little herbal remedy that I partook in, and so my mind,
Self medication. I got you. Yeah.
so my mind was in an elevated state,
Check. Okay.
and I sat down on her couch,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on Instagram, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I saw somebody had posted, it was a plate of pig's feet
Mm.
with some chicken feet on top.
Mm-hmm.
So pig's feet always triggered me from when I was a little kid.
Right. Right.
Even my mom ate it, people in my family.
Right. Right.
And I'd be like, how could you eat that? It looks like feet. Like it don't look right.
Right.
Yeah. But I could just never, I couldn't do the pig's feet or the chitlins or,
Yeah,
or
me
the
either,
chicken feet. I
man.
just couldn't do it.
Yeah, me either.
But I'm looking at this, and they had hot sauce all over it, and they the caption was like, oh, I'm about to tear this up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm in my mind like, what is wrong with people? Why would you do this?
Right.
And then I caught myself, and I was like, something told me, it was like, hey, don't judge these people
Mm.
because you eat other parts of the animal, it ain't no
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
If you eating the ribs of an animal or the legs
Mm-hmm.
or the wing,
Mhm.
or the half the time you eating steak, you eating the butt of an animal,
Right. Wow.
straight up.
Right.
So I was like, man, I can't judge these folks. I said, I'm eating it, eating it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, man, you know what? Tomorrow I'm just not gonna eat no animals, man, because I'm kind of spooked right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that's gonna lead to. But I was like, I'll probably still eat cheese and ice cream. And I like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then something else, my elevated state of mind at the time was like, hey man, what if you were a cow?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and I was like, what do you mean? What if I was a cow? And I was like, well, if you were a cow and your whole life consisted of you being on this big metal wheel, shoulder to shoulder next to a bunch of other cows,
Mm-hmm.
and from sun up to sundown, you had a machine hooked to your nipples, pulling on your nipples
Wow.
all day from sun up to sundown.
Wow.
I mean, that would be hell on earth.
Right. It's torture, man.
It's torture.
Mhm.
Yeah, your whole life is just consists of that.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but in order to keep you producing milk, you are physically raped by a human being, inseminated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you stay pregnant. Then when the baby comes out, if it's a male baby, they kill it on the first day, or they break his legs and they put it in a box and it becomes veal after a few months. Or if it's a female offspring, they're gonna be subject to the same thing that you've been doing for your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, man, that's hell on earth, man.
It is. That's wow. I didn't think about it like that, man. Wow.
It's literally torture,
And then too, so if they are milking the cow and the cow's going through this process physically, mentally, everything that they're going through is coming through whatever is coming out of them because it's a part of DNA.
Well, yeah, those stress hormones, right? So
right.
that sadness, that depression, and we look at America right now, depression's at an all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
We have all of these challenges that people are dealing with, in terms of depression, anxiety, and just so much mental illness that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking at these animals that have been tortured their whole life. They're releasing these stress hormones, right? And their depression and their hormones, and you're consuming it.
Right. So wow.
You're putting that directly into your body.
Right.
So yeah, it does have an effect on your mental health. On top of the fact that it doesn't benefit you physically to consume it, because any nutrients that you're gaining from the animal, you can gain directly from the same thing that the animal eats, which is plants.
Plants, right? Check.
So, all you're really doing is putting a middleman between you and your nutrients. And not only that, but the middleman is going to give you saturated fat and cholesterol on top of that. It's not very efficient. And a lot of those things, the nutritional aspect of it, I learned afterwards, after I had to figure out, I didn't have a plan when I went vegan. I didn't have meals prepped or none of that. I just was just like,
that's my challenge right now as far like the meal prepping, because I don't really cook. I mean, I can cook the heck out some beans and rice and cornbread.
Right,
you know what I mean? But you're gonna eat that so much, you know what I mean? And so, but I think so. This is what I want to ask you, because like people that are watching and listening, what can they do? Because like we don't have these type of resources in our communities. We have food deserts, you know what I mean? So. Third Ward, man, I love come out there, man, but I don't want to keep driving from Acres Home, Third Ward, man. You know what I mean? So what can a person do that say, you know what, I heard this interview, I want to go vegan. What's the first steps should they do as far as like preparing meals, and how can they transition in a sense?
First step, if you want to go vegan, get rid of all your non-vegan food in your house.
Gotcha.
Because you don't even want to tempt yourself with it, because you're going to find an excuse to eat it.
Right.
For some reason, right? So just get rid of it. And, like I said, a lot of people, I hear the argument, I don't have enough money to go vegan. I can't shop at Whole Foods. It's an excuse, man. It's an illusion. And this is why it's an illusion. The most expensive thing that people can, purchase when they go to the grocery store is meat. That's the most expensive thing in your cart.
Right.
Is the chicken wings and, the beef and all of that stuff. Even if you eat fish, the salmon.
Yeah, salmon is kind of expensive, man.
Yeah. That's the most expensive thing in your cart.
Right, that's true.
You eliminate that. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, there are communities that don't have, access to fresh groceries. So I get that. There's a lot of fast food that's in the community, and people rely on that for nourishment. But, I will say this. If you take out of your mind that the animal is an option, you will find ways, you will be fine.
Right.
I'm still here after 3 years. I haven't wasted away.
Right.
My blood pressure is the best that it's ever been. Cholesterol is great. My body fat's the best it's ever been. So you will find ways, in Ireland, those people lived on potatoes. They had a famine. They lived on potatoes for years.
Wow.
So you can survive on the bare necessities. If you got to eat potatoes,
right,
you can do it.
So it's not too many starches then. It won't hurt you then, huh?
So we have to relearn nutrition in and of itself, because America, we've been tricked, and this is where it gets political.
The FDA.
Well, the FDA, I mean, from the bottom up, we've been tricked into believing that protein is the most important thing that you have to have in your diet.
Okay.
And the more protein you have, protein is going to help you lose weight.
Right.
It's going to help you gain weight. It's not going to do none of that because your body, your brain runs on glucose, which is a carbohydrate. It's a sugar.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
So everything that you put into your body's trying to figure out how to turn it into sugar. So how would it benefit you to put primarily protein and fat into your body, which is what meat is? Because your body finds it very difficult to turn that actually into sugar.
Wow.
So carbohydrates, natural carbohydrates and starches are what your body prioritizes. Those are the easiest things that it could turn into glucose to operate your brain. So it's a myth that carbs are going to get you fat, because people say this all the time. Oh, you just got to start eating carbs. The carbs are going to make you fat. What's the biological mechanism that converts carbohydrates to fat? There is none.
Right. I can't think of it. Yeah. Wow.
It's an illusion. But a lie is told so many times that people start to believe
that's true. Yeah.
And they spread these myths. But where it becomes political, like I said, is, prior to the 1940s, agricultural mass production of animals did not exist.
Yep. Okay.
So we had a couple of white-owned companies who saw an opportunity, Tyson Foods, Smithfield Farms, that said, how can we take these living things and turn them into products, just like, like Henry Ford does with his cars.
Right.
We need an assembly line. We need a way to, they figured out all the math. How much do we need to feed them till they get to this size? And then what day do we need to, to cull these animals?
Right.
And so they brought it down to math and science, and they started treating these things as if they were rocks or trees or, things that didn't have a soul. And so as we started to, yeah, because you can,
Wow.
one of the things I love about, and I know you're from Acres Homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I love is if you talk to people in the community, the Acres Home community, about what they ate growing up.
Mm-hmm.
If you find an elderly member of the Acres Home community,
Mm-hmm.
they will all tell you that we ate vegetables 6 days a week
Mm-hmm.
and we had meat on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
That was it,
that was it. Yeah, yeah.
because it was not plentiful. It was too expensive for most people to afford.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did not have the means in the United States for everybody to have meat 7 days a week.
Right.
And so people ate vegetables, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the 1940s and beyond, as we started to begin to figure out how to mass produce, then we started to genetically engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started injecting these animals with all kind of antibiotics
Yeah, steroids
and vaccines
Mm-hmm.
In order to keep them alive.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you put billions of animals in close proximity, guess what's going to happen? They get sick,
Disease, yeah, famine, yeah.
all kind of diseases
Mm-hmm.
that spread to human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Which is in 2019 when we had coronavirus and they tried to blame it on bats.
China, yeah.
Yeah, bats and pangolins.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense because we grow trillions of animals annually, specifically to feed to people as food, whereas they don't need to eat this, right?
Man, we can, man, this is I wasn't expecting this. Okay, so it's so many layers to what you're saying that we can go into a whole 5-hour discussion, man. But okay, so you mentioned Acres Home, and it's predominantly Black community. It's starting to change now,
Right.
and it is what it is. It's being gentrified. You know what I mean? And so, with that being said, how can because you mentioned about the empowerment of Black people, and most time our empowerment is based. It has a number to it. It's value to money, right?
Right.
How can Acres Home, Fifth Ward, Third Ward, place where you from the Bronx, all that, how can we all figure out ways of channeling our money through each other to build each other up?
Yeah, the good thing that I've seen result from the past 4 years of the madness that we've been dealing with is Black people realizing how much we need to economically empower each other.
Check. Okay.
And so I see a lot more people now, before they purchase something, they say, is there a Black-owned company I can get this from? So we definitely have to do that more. We have to support our own communities. And we have to be able to identify white supremacy where it is and not be afraid to challenge it.
Wow.
So, when it comes to gentrification, man, it's the same thing. It's like, first some people like, man, some cheap real estate over here. It's not too far from downtown. I don't have to sit in traffic, man.
Right,
so
right.
I mean, yeah, I might hear some gunshots, but
that's only a matter of time before the regime puts in the manpower to go in and stop that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's only a matter of time.
That's how it creeps in slowly. It's like, all right, I can lay low here in a community that I don't really fit in, but there's so many different benefits to,
right.
More than likely I'll be okay. I'm
right,
not going to get robbed or shot or killed, because I realize a lot of that is just the news trying to scare the hell out of white people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's unfortunate, man, that right now Acres Home has a lot of violence going on over there. Why I couldn't tell you, but I can only imagine it because of even from back in the early '80s when crack hit real hard and kids were entrepreneur minded but selling a product that was against the law. Things happen, you know what I mean, and so it's unfortunate, man. But you are a part of the Acres Home Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I'm a board member.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So how's that process going for you so far?
Yeah, I love being on the board there. Things got disrupted this year
because of COVID. Yeah.
Because of COVID, but we have big plans. Super big plans, man, to transform Acres Home, to actually build a town center in Acres Home, to bring financial institutions to Acres Home, to bring fresh groceries. So there's a plan to turn Acres Home into a modern day Black Wall Street.
Gotcha.
And that plan was, put together by Mr. Warren Muhammad.
Shout out to Warren Muhammad.
Yeah, shout out to Warren Muhammad. And so, I'm just trying to help, support him in
Mm-hmm.
everything that I do in terms of making that vision a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there's been some challenges with COVID, but the plan is still there.
Gotcha.
And, we're eventually going to get over this COVID. And,
Mm-hmm.
Black people need to emerge from this.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna
Uh,
be tough, man, but it is what it is. And not to cut you out, I think that I was watching a video this morning. I was going to send to you, but yeah, but IG, 'cause I knew that, how your stance on COVID. But there was a video with Bill Gates and his wife. There's some other guy. They were saying that the main ones that they're targeting to get this vaccine was us. The so-called disadvantaged people or whatever. You know what I mean? And
right.
so. So when you say we got to get over it, it's going to be hard because we got people that are using this vaccine to hurt people in a sense instead of to help heal the process of it. I mean, but
Well, so here's how I feel about the whole vaccine thing, right? So I like the fact that skepticism is at an all-time high
mm-hmm.
because
Okay.
we should have been skeptical a long time ago
Mm-hmm.
about all kind of stuff that they done pulled on us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we didn't question enough of what was happening to us and around us.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate now that during this whole last 4 years, everybody's skepticism is at an all-time high. We don't know, is this real news? Is this fake news? They trying to put something in me, or
Mm-hmm.
everybody's having that question. But we can't stop at skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
So skepticism is the first step.
Okay.
The next step that follows skepticism is investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I unfortunately, I see a lot of people stopping at the step of skepticism
Mm-hmm.
and not going further in their investigation.
Right.
So, yes, we need to be investigating everything that we put into our bodies and everything that the government tells us to put into our bodies. Because the government has lied to us and they continue to lie to us
Right.
about food and nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm aware of the damaging effects that animal products have on my body, the government, they've known this for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like they knew in the 1950s that cigarettes cause cancer.
Right.
Up until the 1980s, you could be a school teacher and smoke a cigarette in a
classroom,
a classroom full of kids. And they knew for 30 years that it caused cancer.
Right.
So the government makes lots of mistakes, and they do it in the interest of corporations who benefit economically from your sickness and your disease and your despair. They're going to profit off of that.
Right.
So I get why people are skeptical, and you should be skeptical, but then you have to investigate after that skepticism.
I mean, it's hard to investigate now because we don't have those, I forget what you call it, when you go into the library and you pick out the card, what do they call it? You pull it out and we used to, you can kind of reference check. Well, I forget what you call that thing, man.
Card catalog.
That's it. Yeah, the card catalog. Right. So how can we investigate that kind of stuff now when most of all the information is being filtered by outside sources that's not favorable to us?
Well, you have to be able to, first of all, discern what's valid information and what's not. The only way you can decide whether something is scientifically valid and mathematically valid is if you observe something that's been conducted in a controlled study, that's been randomized, and that's been conducted on millions of people, or thousands of people. Because there are a lot of fake studies out there. The meat industry puts out studies that say you can survive on a diet of bacon and butter.
Right.
They built the whole keto diet around that.
Right.
That millions of people believe in.
Wow.
That, if I just eliminate carbs from my diet, I can eat bacon and butter and lose weight. And no, unsustainable, right? False information.
Right.
So you have to look at, has there been a control group versus, the group that was either, given this vaccine or whatever it is that we're discussing, right? Was it randomized? And how many people participated? Those are the most important things. And that's the only way conclusively you can say, well, this is what happens to the average person that does this.
Right.
And so, once you do that, once you do your further investigation and look at those details, the truth becomes more clear.
Wow. Okay. That makes sense, man. Like I said, we can really go on a lot with that, man. Like I say, it's just so, because it's relevant, it's happening now, but I want to end this interview with this, man. We saw that a group of people kind of band together, went in and stormed the Capitol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that Black people should get that extreme, but and what you're saying from your story from conception to now, you know what I'm saying? I just didn't know, you know what I mean? So, but um, besides our economic power, what can we do uh, to push us forward to be so extreme to where it shakes the whole axis of what this whole white supremacy quote unquote thing is or whatnot?
Well, something has to be said about the fact that these people, had the tenacity to do what they did on January 6th, and honestly, the first thing I thought of was like, man, Black people should have did that a long time ago for reparations.
Right.
All we had to do is walk through the front door.
Right.
But we know circumstances would have been different. They would have had tanks and probably, dropped bombs on.
Yeah.
So we know circumstances would have been different, because the skin color involved.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have a necessity to set off that economic bomb. So where you can spend money with people that look like us, you need to. And I think a lot of what we saw just in the past year with the Black Lives Matter protests and George Floyd's death is that corporations now, because they value Black dollars so much, they start switching stuff up. They were like, oh man, wait a minute. We got to take Aunt Jemima off the box now.
Right. We got to change the name of the Washington Redskins.
Yeah,
okay, right.
We don't want these people to start boycotting and spending their dollars somewhere else.
Right.
So you started to see these white-owned corporations adjust, and what can we do? Who do we need to hire for our diversity and inclusion team to, keep Black people happy because we need their money. And so we as Black people have to identify how desperate they are to keep our business. We got to start our own businesses.
Check.
We got to support our own businesses. We got to spend money with our own businesses because that economic bomb is going to be bigger than anything else that we could do physically.
I agree. That's kind of what Pop and I talked about. He mentioned Claude Anderson's book, Power Economics and whatnot. I'm still, so last year I was in between 6 books at one time. That's just how I read. I like to get here, put it back, go and just kind of go through all, because that's my brain works, whatnot, man. Right. So, but man, like I say, we can talk forever, man. Like I say, it's
hey man, I'm happy to come back anytime.
Yeah,
man.
I was gonna say you got to come back for part 2, man, because I even talk about the whole scene of the social scene of Houston, the clubs and things like that, doing keto gentry, all that kind of stuff, man. Because that's still all money, you know what I mean, that we can use to help push our communities forward, man. So before we leave, give your Instagram hook, your Facebook, anything that they can find you at, man. I want a shirt too, man.
Hey, Dangerous Negro still operating, man.
Okay, yeah,
dangerousnegro.com, and it's on Instagram at Dangerous Negro.
Okay.
My personal Instagram page is Vote for Meek. You can also follow the Black Travel Club on Instagram, which is where we get the majority of our business is at the Black Travel Club. So it's the Black Travel Club. We do have a few trips coming up later on in the year. Hopefully as COVID subsides a little bit, but people are going to need that either a vaccine or you're going to have a negative COVID test in order to travel after January 26th. So now you got to make a decision. You got to do the research now.
Yeah, you're right. Right. Wow.
Yeah, you got to do the research. So that's what it is, man.
Okay, that's what's up, man. So hey, y'all, I don't mean to cut it short, man, but I say I gotta have Demetrius back, man. We can talk more into everything that's going on, man. So like I say, peace and blessings. This Politically Street. I see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace out.